Murder charges against House of Reps leader Alhassan Doguwa unconstitutional, says the Federal High Court in Kano. Supreme Court adjourns judgment to May the 26th in PDP suit against Tinubu and Shatima. The Academic Staff Union of Universities re-elects Professor Oshodeke as national president. Also coming up in politics, HQ, warring factions in Sudan agreed to a 7-day ceasefire in Jeddah. African leaders delegate set to visit Russia and Ukraine to initiate peace process. Today on Politics Headquarters, I will be joined by Debo Adeniran, the chairman of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, and also Achike Chude, a public affairs analyst. And also later on, we'll be joined by Igweli Arinze, the Zonal Publicity Secretary of the APC in Anambra Central and Southeast APC Chieftain. Stay with us, Politics Headquarters. We'll be right back. Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle and Nigeria's anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, add loggerheads over corruption allegations. Governor Matawalle is on the EFCC radar over a 70 billion naira money laundering allegation. The EFCC accuses the governor of stealing loans meant to execute public projects. The governor has also accused the EFCC Chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, of seeking bribes from state governors. The Zamfara State Governor said the EFCC Chairman sought $2 million from him and he has evidence against him. It's getting feisty in Nigeria on this issue, but corruption and bribery reigns supreme. Join me as I welcome my distinguished guest, Mr. Debo Adeniran, Chairman, Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Adeniran. Thanks for joining us on PHQ.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that you have invited me.
Well, glad to have you. Now, sir, what's your reaction to the accusations leveled by Governor Matawalle against the EFCC Chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, alleging that he begged him for a substantial sum of $2 million? What are the potential implications of such a weighty allegation on the credibility and integrity of both the governor and the EFCC chairman, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa?
Yes, I didn't hear your question.
Yes, I said, what's your take on this weighty allegations?
Okay.
What are the implications?
I got that. Well, I am not surprised. Okay, to the fact that in 2021, when Abdulrasheed Bawa was to be confirmed, my group, the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, actually wrote the president and copied the National Assembly not to confirm him as the chairman of EFCC for two reasons. One is that the former EFCC chairman that was suspended, not actually relieved of his post, was still supposed to be the acting EFCC chairman. Now, you can't have two chairmen at the head of EFCC. So his case has not been done with before Bawa was brought in. Then, from information oozing in from where he has served before, especially in Port Harcourt, there was this acquisition that sold about 244 trucks, at giveaway prices of 100,000 naira each, even when each truck was about 20 to 30 million naira, and nothing has been done about it. Bawa has not cleared himself of such allegations. It was on those two planks that we even said that the National Assembly should not confirm him as the chairman, as substantive chairman of the EFCC in 2021. Now, fast forward to late last year and early this year that a couple of competent courts of competent jurisdiction has actually had reasons to convict Mr. Bawa for disobedience of court order. I mean, if he did it in 2 places, not just one, and the Inspector General of Police was asked to arrest Mr. Bawa and confine him in Kuje prison, and that was not done. We do not know why the Inspector General of Police didn't do that. Now, if somebody with impunity disobeys court order, then it means that no Nigerian should repose adequate confidence in such head of an anti-corruption agency, because disobedience of court order itself is one of the biggest corruption crime that anybody could commit against Nigerian people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeniran. As we move to our next panelist in this session, I would like to ask you to kindly put your device on landscape mode so you can be framed properly. Now, Achike, one welcome to you. We've heard the weighty allegations against...
My device is actually landscape. I wonder what's yours. Yours is the one that is portrait here, but I can turn it around.
Yes, please do turn it around. I'd like to bring in our second guest on this discussion, Mr. Achike Chude. We've heard the weighty allegations against the EFCC Chairman, and this is not the first time that corruption allegations will be leveled against him. Like Mr. Adeniran said, the issue of the trucks before he was even made EFCC Chairman and disobedience to court orders. Now, Achike, considering the gravity of the allegations that Governor Matawalle diverted a significant amount of 70 billion earmarked for contracts in Zamfara State, what impact do you foresee this having on his political career, and how might it influence public trust in his ability to govern and manage funds? He hasn't come out expressly to say, look, he says no one is without sin, and he also pointed to Mr. Bawa saying, look, this man demanded $2 million bribe from me. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, well, first of all, with regards to Matawalle and what possible impact all these allegations would have, on his political ambition or his politics, I would say none, essentially, because, corruption has continued to be a way of life in the country. And we have seen politicians get away with blue murder when it comes to issues of corruption. And so corruption has continued, especially in the last 8 years of the APC-led government of Muhammadu Buhari. What we saw under the Jonathan administration, I think is, pales into comparison with the corruption that we are seeing with this administration, especially in the last days of this administration, with all the last-minute contracts that are being given here and there, with $800 million that they are supposed to, or that they are picking up from the international financial institution for the purpose of acting as palliative for the proposed increase in the a removal of subsidy, while they have handed over that decision to be taken by the new government. They have not, by the incoming government, they have not handed over this $800 million to the new government again for the purpose of the palliatives. So it is not a new thing that we are hearing about corruption, either with regards to Matawalle, because what we are seeing, and some of these corrupt practices have been legitimized in the sense that the National State House of Assembly just come up in the twilight of any administration, and then they pass all kinds of laws. Pension, laws that that give some of these politicians huge entitlements, and so of course, if you look at it on record, in terms of on the books, it's proper because it has come through a process that is recognized by law, but it is highly offensive and immoral. Like I said, a legitimization of illegality and corruption,
and also looking at the current socioeconomic conditions.
Yeah, so with regards to the EFCC chair, obviously, the question again you ask is, is which of the EFCC chairmen that we've had, from the very beginning has not been enmeshed in one form of corruption or the other. Especially, you had in fact, you even had a situation where the two foremost officers, anti-corruption officers, were trading corruption accusations against one another. Magu was accusing the Attorney General of the Federation of corruption. And that is why the Attorney General was trying to remove him from office, while Magu was accusing, Malami was also accusing Magu of the same thing of corruption. And of course, they did set up a panel, at the presidency. So these are some of the things that are going on. Look, we are still saying that Nigeria is embedded in corruption. There's no doubt about that. Efforts are being made to fight it. But unfortunately, we've seen in this country situations several times where the hunter eventually becomes the hunted. If you look at the happenings at the National Assembly, where people who are probing electricity, the scandal in the electricity sector and the fuel subsidy, in the past, if you remember $10 versus the integrity, the man in charge of, the integrity group, hiding money in his car when he went to visit. So these are some of the things that we have been seeing. And it's unfortunate. Yes, you can say, you can call for evidence, like Matawalle has made weighty allegations, and yet, yes, he has to provide evidence of that. But then my worry was the response of, the Bawa, the EFCC chairman. He said, look, nobody is 100% perfect. Yes. That is a very worrying. We know that human beings, that there is no perfect human being, really. But when it comes to the issue of corruption, you must be above board, because you are also pushing people, for the same thing. True. And so when you say nobody is at the same breath that the allegation is laid against him, that people confront him with the allegation by Matawalle, he says, look, nobody is 100% perfect. That is a sign of worry that something must have gone wrong, obviously. And again, he's the way he came to power, obviously, somebody that had corruption charges, over his head. And this matter had not been dismissed, and then the federal government took him and then made him the head of the anti-corruption agency. So I'm not surprised about what is happening. Look, EFCC, it also has done its fair bit in fighting corruption, but a lot of their operatives are immersed in corruption. If you hear stories from people who have been, dealing with EFCC, and then you realize that when we say corruption is endemic, every institution in this country, whether it's the executive, whether it's the police, whether it's the judiciary and so on, are also have some level of corruption, hovering over them.
Thank you, Achike. I'd like to bring back Mr. Adeniran into the conversation. Now, a northern coalition of civil society organizations has called on the EFCC Chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, to resign or be fired over this weighty corrupt allegations. Do you support this call?
Thank you very much. Not only the Northern Coalition of Civil Societies, the Nigerian, Coalition of Anti-Corruption CSOs have also called for his removal. His resignation or removal from the office by the president, or maybe the National Assembly should insist that he should not continue in the office. There are other Southern coalitions too that have called for the same, that is removal of the EFCC, because what everybody believes is that when you come to equity, you must come with clean hands. And if the civil society organizations that have been defending the EFCC, because for us at the CACOL, we have made it a point of duty that we want to support the effort of any anti-corruption agency that is taking certain steps towards stopping corruption in our society. And that if we cannot do much, we should not discourage them from performing that sacred duty of sanitizing our polity against corruption. Yes. But then we cannot afford to have somebody who has several baggages of corruption hanging around his neck. He doesn't even bother to discharge himself of it. He's actually justifying it that, okay, that is his own foible, that we should tolerate it. Then it means that Mr. Bawa knows exactly what he's doing. Look at several other weighty allegations of him taking. Now,
just for the sake of our viewers, Mr. Adeniran, I want you to let us know if because, ordinary Nigerians watching this program will be watching and saying, look, does the EFCC chairman enjoy some type of immunity? Because this is a man that goes around flouting court orders, disobeying court orders, and he has all these weighty corruption allegations against him. Why has nothing been done about him? So does the Constitution give the EFCC chairman some type of immunity?
Never. The EFCC chairman doesn't have immunity. As a matter of fact, he is supposed to have been dealt with by the ICPC because ICPC is charged with the duty of investigating those that are working in, those that are in federal civil service and agencies and all the MDAs generally. That is the work of ICPC. And the allegation I was going to talk about is that taking his entire family for pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia and lodging them at a exorbitant rate in one of the 5-star hotels in that country. That is not supposed to be somebody who is supposed to live above board, who is not supposed to show example of ostentatious living, flamboyant lifestyle, and the rest of them. And we have been told also that several operatives of EFCC are living like laws of the manor. And everywhere you find them, that many of them are living in the obscene opulence. That should be investigated. And we have also called, we are just not saying that Bawa should be removed for nothing. Anybody that disobeys court order and has been convicted is not expected to be in office, because one of the conditions is that he shouldn't have been a convicted person before he is made the chairman of EFCC. And it presupposes that even when he becomes the chairman of EFCC, if he's convicted of any offense, then he should be removed, let him go and serve his terms, and maybe if he enjoys state pardon, he should contest for, he could apply to be readmitted into the position from where he had been removed.
Thank you very much.
But he doesn't have any immunity. He could be arrested, he could be convicted, and he could be jailed.
Thank you, Mr. Adeniran. Now, Achike, still looking at this serious allegations and counter-allegations. Let's assess the potential fallout of this. How damaging is it for Governor to claim that the EFCC is targeting him due to his refusal to provide a requested money? The amount in question here is $2 million US. How might this affect public perception of the governor's integrity and the EFCC's reputation as an anti-corruption agency? You also heard the allegations leveled against him by Mr. Debo Adeniran. What's your reaction?
Like I said before, it's not going to have an impact on the governor because this is what the governors have been doing. Our politicians are reckless, and they couldn't care less. They couldn't care. They don't care. Let me just put it that way. They are impervious and they are immune, to shame. These are people that do not feel embarrassed about what you say about them. So in that sense, they lack a sense of dignity. And so when people lack this sense of dignity and this sense of shame, it doesn't matter. They can get themselves dirty and roll in the gutter and in the mud. I think that somehow that is the way I see some of our politicians.
Yeah, but the EFCC is an institution. The EFCC is an institution of the state.
Yeah.
And
no.
Does have implications.
No, that's for the governor. I was talking about the governor. I think if there should be any pressure, that pressure should be on the chairman of the EFCC, because he has a specific responsibility. And that responsibility is to fight corruption and to root out corruption. It should not be an embodiment, or it should not be seen to be an embodiment of the very thing that he is supposed to go to war with, to go to war against. And this is exactly what we're seeing about this. It is absolutely 100% incompatible with the office that he holds. And so it is a thing, and his office is such a sensitive, office that a lot of people look at, because people believe that the bane of the Nigerian society today is corruption, and that one of the most important agencies of government is the agency, that fights corruption. So when that agency itself is enmeshed in corruption, then all is lost. So these are the things, and he is supposed to look at the activities, and investigate the activities of the governors. This is what I'm trying to say. So, and that's why even if the governors don't care about what happens, but the EFCC should care about what they do, what these governors do. And so that's why I am saying that it is more of a bigger body, a greater body for the EFCC chairman to be involved in corruption, because you can fight the governor for corruption, but what happens to you if you're also involved in the same thing? And so it takes a lot away from the institution, the EFCC as an institution. And also there have been modest gains. I'm not going to say we have not had. A few governors have been convicted. Though you could say that maybe these were the scapegoats. After all, some of the governors that were convicted were given presidential pardon. While other people who have stolen maybe 5,000 naira or 50,000 naira or a goat somewhere have gone to jail for very lengthy times in this country. This is what we have been seeing. So it is absolutely, and then there are implications, because you have an administration that is coming in the midst of this scandal. So how is this administration going to handle this issue, of Bawa? Is he going to leave? Are they going to leave him there? But I'm worried, because you see, you need to be able to send out the right kind of message, especially an administration that has come in, that has a case in court, again, that has a legitimate issue, at least until the court has decided, on who actually won that election. So you want to come in, like they say, they want to hit the ground running. So if you want to hit the ground running, then one of the things that you have to look at is what is happening with Bawa, at the EFCC.
Thank you, Achike. Now, Mr. Adeniran, as we wrap up this conversation, and I appreciate it if you can provide an answer in less than a minute. What actions do you anticipate the EFCC will take in response to Governor Matawalle's accusations? Is an independent investigation likely to be conducted? And how might this influence public trust in the EFCC's ability to impartially carry out its mandate?
Well, first and foremost, if there is evidence against Matawalle that he has committed some economic or financial crimes, the EFCC is supposed to investigate, charge him to court, and get him convicted if they had evidences and witnesses against him. But then the EFCC that has soiled its own hand should also come clean. Mr. Bawa should leave above board. He should just throw in the towel to show examples that you don't have to commit the same crime you are sent to prevent. And he has been alleged to have committed all of these crimes. We are warning the outgoing government that it should not leave a legacy of sleaze. And the incoming government should also weigh the implications of all of these allegations against head of an anti-graft agency. It should not allow him to kind of pollute the new waters that we believe the new administration will be bringing in. If they do, if the present administration doesn't do anything about it, the incoming administration should look at all of this as enough reasons why Mr. Bawa should not be re-employed for the same office where he has committed so much atrocities.
Thank you very much, Debo Adeniran, Chairman, Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, and also Achike Chude, Public Affairs Analyst. We do appreciate your contribution and your insights on this subject. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
You're watching Politics HQ on News Central Television. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the 10th National Assembly, the leadership race, especially at the House of Representatives. So stay with us at PHQ. We'll be right back after this quick timeout.